In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. That was a
We
very
have a
churchy
pope.
music.
Oh man, welcome in everybody. I love it. Yeah, that'd be really awkward to introduce every podcast going forward. Is that like what happened? This is interesting. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crystal Core Radio Podcast. We got together to get a epic roundtable of gamers. Lots of things going on in the news. Obviously, for those of you who've been paying attention to world news, there's a pope. I tweeted out that would be the most epic collab for Final Fantasy 14 is some kind of crossover with Pope Leo the 14th. But here we are today to talk more about what is actually, I think, some of the biggest news stories of the week. Let's go and introduce the roundtable for those who are new or those who have not been here in a while. We'll start with Chrono making his return to the podcast.
Hello, it's been a while.
Rocking the most epic Mario Kart shirt of all. How you been, man?
Dude, been good. Just enjoying all of the relentless bombardment of new releases that are hitting Game Pass lately.
Game Pass is a heck of a deal now.
Dude, oh my gosh. Oblivion made it like even better, and then it's one hit after another lately.
You have Expedition 33, or have you played that at all?
I've got it downloaded. It's on the list because everything I see on it makes me want to play it more and more.
What are you playing right now the most on Game Pass though?
Well, I started Oblivion when it launched. I got Blueprints going. It's really interesting. I need to jump into that a little more. And then just, when we're on a trip or whatever, I'll fire up something on xCloud just to, fill in gaps when we got some downtime or whatever. So it's just been a little of this, a little of that, to be honest.
Dude, I feel that a lot. Like the Oblivion came out and I downloaded it. I did the first mission because that's the amount of time I had to sit down and play. And it was the thing that stood out to me about that was it really made me feel like we can measure the absolute decline of gaming over the last decade. Like I stepped into this, I was like, this is so good. And then there's systems, and I'm again haven't even like I had to set it down because I was really excited about Expedition 33, which I played on Game Pass, but then also went out and bought the game because I was like, all right, I'm going to support this because this game is phenomenal. And then just the next week, No Rest for the Wicked dropped, which it's a big update, and that's still in early access. So it's bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. So it's like, yeah, this has been, I'm excited to go and finish these other games that I got started, but it was just immediately apparent just how we've seen gaming decline. We'll actually be talking about a part of that because I know, Taylor, you finished Avowed, and that was a real controversial thing. So I want to get to that here in a little bit, but we'll keep going around because I want to open up with the PlayStation, Xbox, Gear stuff. But Mark, dude, what's going on, man? What are you playing? How's everything?
Everything's good. We had a little bit of an insane week. One, I had to go to Canada, but that was pretty okay overall.
Yikes.
But on the way back, we had
in this economy.
Sorry. Yeah, it was practically Detroit. On the way back, we had a miscarriage scare. But
that's the meanest thing everybody's ever said about Canada.
Yeah. There are other things. But yeah, we had a little bit of a scare with my wife's pregnancy, but thankfully everything turned total miracle. I could go into more of that off stream because there were some things that happened, but then they found nothing wrong. And that's so good. Baby's perfectly okay. Baby number 3 is doing great. So busy. I haven't been gaming that much. I will say I recently made a Father's Day purchase that's early of a brand new Blackstone griddle. And I've just been cooking a lot for the family. I did play Forza on the PlayStation 5. Because
how is that? That was like that seems kind of curious.
It's relevant to what we're going to talk about with Gears, but it's, in my opinion, it was always a great game, and I was playing on the PS5 Pro, and it runs flawlessly.
Nice.
It ran flawlessly on the Series X too, honestly, and I can't tell much of a difference, but it's a great game. And then
I hear Xbox games sell best on PlayStation. Like,
I mean,
they're dominating the charts.
They're
every week.
Of the promotions on the PlayStation Store or Xbox. Like I see Oblivion, I see all these Xbox Doom. It's crazy, but mostly I've just been waiting for Switch 2. Like I put a lot of money down to get a lot of games for the Switch 2.
I put a lot of money down in general. My wife saw the bill. She was like, what was $722 at Walmart? I don't remember spending that. And I go, I got the Switch 2 $500 bundle, 2 Pro with the new Pro controllers, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Honey,
You should have been like,
it was only $350, but the other half was tariffs, honey. It's not my fault.
you should be like, hey, Mother's Day is like tomorrow. Like, don't worry about it.
Oh, I got her. I'm not going to show it on camera, but I got her a sweet Mother's Day gift. I'm very excited.
I'm glad
for
you're
that
not
this
showing what you're giving her for Mother's Day.
It's like, oy vey.
I can't top that. So Taylor, how you?
I'm not showing either. I don't know what you were asking.
How you been? What you gaming, man? Like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
So I just finished my busiest season of my year. So I just finished. I coach track here at a local Catholic high school. We just finished our season. So I game very oddly during track season because I need an escape, but I can't sink my teeth into big games. So I started Avowed before track season, and then we had 1 week off that was spring break, and I finished it during that, and I loved it. And everything else, I told you before, I've been playing this Unicorn Overlord game.
Yes.
Which,
Yeah.
like, it's supposed to be this tactical masterpiece, and it's not tactical at all. I just throw people at people, and I win everything. And I don't understand. I don't understand how, what I'm afraid of. Is I'm about halfway through the game is that I'm going to need to know all the tactics for the end, and I'm going to know nothing because I've never lost and never come close. So
real difficulty spike right at the end. That was
emphasis on the Overlord.
That was my Dragon Quest 4 experience as a kid. I was like, okay, yeah, and I'm going into the final boss, and then it was like, this is impossible. Like, I'm like, all right, I guess I could. Like, what happened? I felt like I had this in the bag.
Because like with Fire Emblem, it's like you actually had to use tactics, but it was like paper, rock, scissors. There's only 3, so it was kind of fine. Now there's like 90 different classes, and they're all supposed to be good against each other. I just use the king's best friend, and I win everything. So I don't know what I'm supposed to be learning from this experience, but I've been playing a lot of like phone and mobile games. I know that's like not core gamer stuff, but it's what I've been doing a lot because that's what track season's about. But because I beat Avowed. Claire Obscura is my next one.
Yes.
So it was going to be my next one, and then they like surprise dropped Oblivion. Well, not a surprise. We all knew about a month or two before, but still a surprise when that news came out.
Shocker! And, this is happening. It was the thing that was the surprise was it was like a day drop. Like it was like, hey, it's because I was like, oh, they're going to announce it, and then that's going to be something that people are going to look forward to. And whatever.
I really want that to become the norm. Like I really do.
100%.
Just like here, have this game that you're gonna really love and enjoy.
How will the content farmers on Twitter like make a living though if they started dropping games day and day and not giving people enough time to try and just find if it's woke or not? You know, it's just like how will they make their living, Chrono?
Yeah. I'm sorry, content creators on Twitter. I just want to enjoy video games again.
All right. So for me, just absolutely enthralled with No Others for the Wicked. Like Taylor, like I want to get to Oblivion. Like I remember playing that as a kid, spending hundreds of hours in it, never beating it. Like it was just I just go off into whatever. And then it's like, and then I played Skyrim, did the same thing, never have beaten it. And I'm like, oh man, like stepping back into it. This feels so fresh and so exciting. And it's a game like Oblivion is on the PlayStation right now, right? Like they just said it's everywhere, correct? I'm not okay, good. I was like, I think that's going to be the norm. And I think that gives us a great way to kind of stage into Gears of War because they announced Gears of War Reloaded, which they already had remastered the first one with Gears of War Ultimate Edition several years ago, but now they have it where it's launching on PC, PlayStation. It's got crossplay, cross progression. All of that is baked into the core of this game, and this is going to be the first time ever that this game has been on a PlayStation platform because originally Microsoft had it an exclusive, and then Epic Games teased out there was a real big announcement coming to PlayStation, and then that's when the next announcement came that Microsoft bought the IP from Epic Games, and it has been associated as a Microsoft brand ever since. And based off of that like tease from Epic Games, they ended up skipping all of the PlayStation Showcase. So it was absolutely in development that was going to be something that did happen back in the day.
Leaked builds back in the day too. Some PS3 footage that people did not believe, like, there's no way because it became such a pillar for Xbox. It was such a system seller for the 360 you know. And so to see this finally like come around this way is just what era are we living in? Which is great though, because more people are gonna get to play this. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a great game.
100%. Like one of the things that I think is the most interesting about I guess the console wars are done, right? Unless I've seen some people try to pick it up between Nintendo and PlayStation now that like Xbox is like, we're just putting our games everywhere. And we're going to sell them also at $80, which I was like, that I think that in and of itself brings back how we kind of opened with Chrono, the value of Game Pass, where it's like, okay, if a game's going to be $80 now, like, you know, as long as they don't go and say, and now Game Pass is $40 a month, then I was like, I think we're in the clear.
But even then, you're still like saving a good bit of money by subscribing if you're just playing games. Now, collectors and stuff. I mean, sorry guys, the hobby's already expensive to begin with.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's insane just the value that just keeps getting added to Game Pass. And then okay, so with this, if you bought the Ultimate Edition back in the day, you get this upgrade for free on Xbox.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
I was like, it just seemed like, well, why were they? I guess they're just unifying it as a package. I bet you would see them remove Ultimate Edition and just basically become. Yeah, that makes sense.
See it be delisted and just, you know, you redeem your Ultimate Edition and that's what you get. You know,
no, because the Ultimate Edition, I remember I got it as a pack in with my Xbox One S. Make sure I'm saying that, the white previous generation one. So I wonder if that will still be available for those platforms, and then on the series models, this is just the version you get.
Oh, that's a good point. I wonder.
But that was the first time I played Gears of War, and to your point, I went and played Gears Ultimate, then all the older Gears games on my 1S, and I was like, oh my gosh, this game's amazing, right? Fantastic gameplay. It still looks good enough to this day, even the older ones. It's still a lot of fun. Yeah. I got hooked to the series, and then Gears 5 lost me. My big criticism there was always the fact when they added those open world elements, it just seemed to take away from that roller coaster like ride that the game has.
The only issue I had with 5, because actually I disagree with what you're saying, because I actually enjoyed the overall. It was the ending that was so strange, because you as the player have a choice to make. Okay. And then I was like, what? Why'd they give us a choice? Like, it's not gonna continue. Lore wise, they had like one of the major characters has to die and you pick who it is. And so it's like, what? And then the announcement, what's the next game? Not Gear 6. We're going back to E-Day. And that makes the most sense.
I think that's why this is coming out like it is though. It's just, they're hyping up E-Day, and then E-Day coming to everything. It seems way more likely now. I mean, we can just assume Xbox is just going to put everything everywhere now. You know, I think that's
all at once.
Who is not assuming that? Like, find me that person that is holding on to this past, and it's like, guys, this is what from Play Anywhere's announcement. Like, this is always going to be where we are. Like, it does not make financial sense, especially with like, oh, you need to sell 10 million copies of a game, and you got the third best selling console platform. No, let's move copies.
Yeah, I mean, even Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 5 costs what, $300 million. I think they just broke even on PlayStation sales alone at 11 million copies sold. So they obviously have to bring that game other places too. Just going back to the rise of cost of gaming as well. Like, it's not sustainable to just keep your games on one platform, especially if your platform itself is such a small amount of the market share.
Taylor, what do you think?
I forgot I was on a podcast for a while, because I often game while listening to podcasts, and I thought I was playing Gears for a moment, and then you said my name, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'm supposed to be contributing here. Brian, all I can think about watching this is that the last Gears game is one of the games that you and I played a ton of time together. So that was actually like where a lot of our friendship built up, was playing that multiplayer that was so much fun.
Horde mode, like we would just spend time in Horde mode, and that's the thing. I'm like, oh man, are they going to, because Horde mode didn't exist in 1. And so my personal hope with Reloaded is it kind of brings that together, because I just love playing with my friends, right?
That's kind of been the thing. Like, Gears 1 has been remade twice now with this announcement, but 2 and 3 introduced so much that I really wish they would do like a Master Chief collection or Marcus Phoenix collection kind of thing, where just everything's available in one package with whatever remastered things they're going to add to it. You know, because I think Gears 2 and 3 need some attention as well, right? Like, we don't need to just keep replaying the first one. It's like Halo 1 all over again.
I went back a few years ago because I had never played through the Gears series because I only played sports games whenever they were all coming out. And then I became an adult, was like, I want to shoot against people and feel bromance a little bit in these Gears games. So I played Remastered 1. Talk about like weird gaming stuff with you going back to Oblivion, Brian. Like I played Remastered 1 and then went to 2 and 3. I was like, ugh. And then I played 4 and then 5. It was very difficult to do. Like great story and stuff, but mechanically and obviously visually, I was like, this is sickening going back to graphics and smoothness from way back then. It is. Yeah. I totally agree with you that they need to redo 2 and 3, and especially coming to PlayStation, it's a perfect time to do it because people who only have PlayStation hadn't gotten to play them all. I think it'd be great because I'd knocked all 4 or 5 out in like a 6-month period, and I'd really enjoyed the story. Just needed to look and feel a little bit better.
Right. I just wonder what the cadence is going to end up being, because there were some people who expressed kind of a little bit of a down opinion because it didn't include 2 and 3. Like they're like, this would have been the perfect time to release the trilogy as one package. But the other option they could end up doing is this could end up being, in a weird way, an annual franchise for these remasters, right? Because they've technically already remastered this. This is just, we're going to take that remaster, we're updating it, it's got crossplay, cross-save, PlayStation, yada yada yada. That time could have been spent on 2 and 3. And imagine if it's like this August, Gears 1, next August, Gears 2, the following Gears 3. And I think this, and I even see like El Nini in the chats, like this is going to be good for the franchise. Like if we stop with any kind of loyalty to like a physical console or hardware, and you start thinking about players getting to experience these characters, getting to experience these game modes, and kind of expanding on it, this is a really good thing for Gears of War fans, because more copies, more, hey, this actually sold. And, since PlayStation doesn't have Game Pass, it's going to sell. It's such a really good game. I think it is the right call. But I also would say, because as we've seen, like in what Chrono said, when's Halo? Because it's absolutely coming. That would actually be really good for the franchise. Why is Call of Duty so popular? Because it's been everywhere on every platform, and you don't have to sit here and worry about who your hardware maker is. It's everywhere.
Right.
Halo, like launching any kind of multiplayer game specifically on one device, with the exception of Nintendo and Mario Kart, like that doesn't necessarily spell success for your franchises. What do you guys think?
I think it's a matter of time when it comes to Halo. But we all know that, so you mentioned, who are those people out there that are surprised by Xbox doing this games everywhere thing? That last group of people that are holding out, it's going to be a rough Band-Aid to rip off for them whenever you see Master Chief on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch too as well. That Master Collection could easily.
Oh yeah, is Gears coming to Switch? Because one of the things that I would say is that when I watched the Switch 2 presentation with my kids, we didn't see a single Microsoft game, and we know that Microsoft's already communicated they're bringing Call of Duty to Switch. Like, I would hope that Gears of War would come to the Nintendo Switch as well.
I think it will. I think there's going to be a little bit more of a different optimization pipeline for the Switch 2, given that they have that very customized Tegra T239 chip. But I also, like, Phil Spencer was in an interview like 2 or 3 weeks ago where he was like, I love what Nintendo's doing, and we're going to support them. We just haven't heard those announcements yet. So
yeah, even as a longtime Xbox gamer, it's still kind of like weird to see. But I also was a huge Sega fan when they quit making hardware and Sonic showed up on GameCube. So like I've been through this already. It's not that big a deal. The games I enjoy still come out and I still get to play them, right? So anybody really having a problem with this needs a reality check. Let's just, we're grown-ups here. It's just plastic. You get to play your game no matter what. Like, stop being weird about it. But
Taylor, what does Microsoft do with the next Xbox? Because they already have announced it. We might actually see it this year at what was used to be E3, now is kind of the summer game showcase. What does Xbox do?
Yeah, I think what I'm really looking forward to is their handheld. I want them to make a specific handheld. I know that they've been partnering with Asus and some of these other companies, but like, I'm not a Switch guy. I've never really been a Switch guy. I don't like playing old tech. And like the stories in the games don't really speak to me like they did when I was younger. But like, I want to be able to play on the go. I want to be able to download games and play them because I'm mostly a single player guy. I don't want to have to be able to stream. I want to be able to play on a plane and those sorts of things. That's what I'm most excited about. And then I think they're just going to keep iterating like an iPhone, right? Like there's how much better can we get than the iPhone I have? How much better can we get than the Xbox that I currently have? Like there's not too much getting better, and they're getting so samey. I mean, just like Apple was way ahead of Android, and then Android kind of, but they're all kind of the same now because it's like how much better tech can we actually get? So going to your like loyalty thing, so I was thinking about what I'm loyal to is stories and entertainment that I like. So like I'm loyal to Gears more than I am to Xbox, even though that I've been a primarily Xbox guy, but I don't care where I play it. I have a Series X right there. I have a PS5 in my son's room, and every like 6 months we trade so we can switch which exclusives are on it. But we've traded a lot less recently because those exclusive lines are kind of falling out. I don't really care where I play, but I'm loyal to. I was thinking about it with Marvel, right? It's not a gaming thing, but it's like I am incredibly loyal to Star Wars and Marvel. Star Wars has been around since the 70s and has changed platforms dozens of times and been on millions of different platforms. And Marvel started out before there was Disney Plus. I'm not loyal to Disney Plus. If they moved all the Marvel stuff to Netflix, I'd move over to Netflix. I'm loyal to stories that I really enjoy, and I'm loyal to entertainment that I enjoy. So I don't care where I play. I just want to play. So I think Xbox is, lost the console war, but is also somehow winning the gaming war.
Oh, for sure. Like they're the number one publisher right now on PlayStation. It's so interesting to see how what used to be some, points on a board for the console wars is now becoming like, oh yeah, the game actually is good. Like Microsoft, the old meme, like Xbox has got no games. It's like, okay. But I think what I've enjoyed from the social media verse that's been going on around it is that, it turns out like Xbox is actually floating PlayStation because PlayStation hasn't been releasing games.
Yeah.
And the games that are selling are all Microsoft games that are doing like really, really well, which for me
it's almost like spending $100 billion 5 years ago is finally paying off.
Right? They had to make that money back somehow. They found a way.
Yeah, we got to make, and they have. Like they've been making hand over fist. Even the FTC, the appeal or whatever. So it's like I didn't even know that like appeal is still going on, and they just announced like, no, we're good. They're one company. This is happening. Oh man, that's gonna be interesting to see what happens now. Let's pivot a little bit over to Avowed. Because Taylor, you talked about this in the show open. You spent your time and you've beaten this game. Avowed, it was like kind of at the center of controversy based off of the developers, like the art director's own quotes. And I do wonder if the game in and of itself, because when we see what's been going on, like we just want gaming to get back into this, like this is fun. Not everything's got to be a piece of drama. I'd like you to kind of talk about your experience with it, and then make an estimate on when we'll see this on PlayStation.
Yeah, so it's so funny, like all the like Gamergate stuff that you were trying to teach me about. I don't understand it at all. Like I don't have time to, like y'all are in this space. I just love playing games and I have a job. So it's like, this is like I only have enough time. I have enough time to decide whether I like a game or not for other people to tell me if I should like or hate a game because of some comment. I'm just like, I played the game and it was fun. And like 3 months in, I found out that you were like, you're supposed to hate it. I'm like, but I don't. Like,
I didn't say you're supposed to hate it. I was just interested in the stats.
It was fun. It was beautiful. I really liked the storytelling. I loved that. Like it gave me the Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect's like my favorite trilogy ever. Mm-hmm. And especially that like Mass Effect 2 right in the middle, like your story choices mattered. Like you were talking earlier about Gears. It's like, well, there was a choice and somebody dies. Like, yeah, Mass Effect did it 20 years ago and it was fine. They figured it out, And like there were multiple things in this where I didn't think. I was just making these little choices from all of the, the little different things that you could choose whenever you're talking to somebody. And I was like, holy crap, an entire city just burned because I didn't make the right choice. Like, and it was permanent throughout the story, and you could have played it where that entire city didn't burn. Like I just let, and there was essentially in every little world because it was like a very tiny open world, and then the last 2 or 3 were pretty wide open worlds. Mm-hmm. I mean, guys, not technically open world, but the maps got bigger and bigger and bigger, so it opened up as you kept going. And at the end of every one of those, there was a massive decision you had to make. And it was that like moral gray area that was more morally gray than Mass Effect was. It was pretty easy, Paragon, or do I punch this woman in the face? Like that's, you know which is the right choice there. But this one, I was like, I'm a Catholic who studies morals, and I'm sitting at the thing. Do I choose this or this? And I would just stare at the screen for 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then I'd make a choice, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. So story wise, gameplay wise, I love, like, even when I play Skyrim, I always play as the magician and throwing fireballs and lightning and stuff. Those systems in this game were awesome. So I hope that it comes to every platform, because I want it to succeed. Like, I want an Avowed 2, so I want all of you to buy it wherever you play. Like, I'm selfish. I like the story, I like the gameplay mechanics, and I want it again. It's my favorite game that I've played this year so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just sold me on it. I had very little interest in it, but it sounds like it's a good time. I'll definitely download it and check it out.
It came out during my Lenten fast from games. So I was just like, all right, like I'll get to it if I get to it. And then Oblivion dropped, and then Expedition dropped, and then so it's like, in terms of it though, like just watching some of the gameplay, I was like, this actually looks fairly decent. But I do wonder how it stacks up against like something like the Oblivion remake, because like I said at the show open, like I immediately felt like, oh my gosh, like this is what games used to be. We didn't know how good we had it until now, where it's like, a game comes out and it's like, man, there's just a lot of I'm gonna like restructure that point I'm making in terms of the AAA space. Like, it feels like the games have gotten more expensive and the quality of the games has gone down. So it's this kind of lever. But then you look at something like Expedition 33, which feels like a AAA game, but they made it with 30 developers. They sold it for $50. Like it has this whole like, shut up and hold my beer kind of moment when you see Nintendo and then Microsoft following suit and saying games are going to be $80. And if you want to physically get ready to pony up, that's going to be even more money. What do you guys think about all that?
I think we've talked about this numerous times before, right? There's large scale AAA developers. They make games that cost a lot, but as you get much more financial investment behind it, you have to mitigate risk. And we've seen over the last 10 years, games becoming, visually more impressive looking, but less innovative. And because of that, you've played the game before, right? How many games have you played where there's a sequel and it's like, this is fun. It's the same game though. It's just reskinned, right? And so because of that, a team that's smaller, like the one behind Clear Obscure, they can take more risk because they're doing it for less. They're taking more risk on, but it's a risk between a smaller amount of people. There's not as many investors and stakeholders saying, well, we need to make sure we see this type of return. I mean, Clear Obscure interests me greatly. I'm waiting to see if that comes to a portable console like the Switch. This game's interested me from the get-go. There, to your earlier point, there was a ton of dialogue online about this game, and I was just like, I'm hearing that it's actually kind of fun, that the platforming is kind of fun, that like there's some wall jumping elements, the combat looks good. But the most exciting thing to me is that it's not a giant game, right? It's like an experience. Taylor, I'm curious, like how long, would you say total gameplay wise time did it take you to complete?
It's like you read my mind. I literally just pulled it up on my phone. I think that's how they made their money work, is they made a smaller game. I'm a completionist. I'm not achievement wise, but gameplay wise. I'm going to go have every conversation. I'm going to go do every conversation tree. I'm going to go find every little thing. I paid for 40 hours, which means on average that you could probably beat it in about 20 or 22. I tend to play games quite a bit, especially ones that I enjoy. And I think that's how they made this good, is that it was a smaller game. Like if I mainline it, check how long to beat, probably 18 to 22 hours, something like that. But I really enjoyed my time in it. My kids loved watching it because it was kind of, you'd have some silly stuff. Like I could pick up a giant and make him float in the air for 10 seconds and then hit him with lightning from the sky. Like the kids liked it. It was a lot of fun. And I think, so those 40 hours I really enjoyed. There's a couple of glitches, but it was kind of like those Bethesda glitches where you're like, this is funny. Like it was nothing game breaking. Sure. It's just like, why is that tree 30 feet in the air? It's just one random tree, and the rest of the game's beautiful. But it's like, I kind of like that, So I think that's how they did it. Is like, it's we know this team. We've all played games that they've made before, but it wasn't like a Skyrim or like a Witcher 3 that took me 150 hours to play the way that I play. So I think that's probably how they got around it.
Yeah. And I think that's the key for a lot of games moving forward. Think about the scope. right? Do we need to have a giant scope? Because when you do that, a lot of your good ideas can end up getting watered down by a lot of the just boring parts that happen in between too. And because this was a smaller game, from what I hear from you, Taylor, and other people that have played it, like it was just nonstop fun and engaging. Like there weren't a lot of points where it kind of just made you go, I want to keep playing. And that's happened with games I've loved, like the Xenoblade games, amazing RPGs, but they're like 70, 80 hours long. And there's definitely parts within them that are just like, all right, I really got to make it through this chapter because the next chapter really, really gets good. And that shouldn't have to be the case.
Yeah, no, I loved how chapter based this was, because like those little sections that I was explaining earlier, like I would finish a section and be like, this is a great place to go to sleep. And I'd go to sleep, and a day later, a couple days later, I'd pop back up, play half of the next world or whatever, and then play the next half the next time I played. So it had these kind of felt like I was watching a TV show, where it's like, oh, I watch an episode or two and then I go to sleep and kind of play through that. I'm also having PTSD from this exact point. It's one of the puzzles that was not difficult at all, but probably took me an hour of my playtime. I felt so dumb doing this one puzzle. So whoever's camera footage this is way smarter than I am.
That's funny. I want to bring up a comment from Dog, who writes over on Twitch. He says, making boring games in the name of less risk is a poor excuse for bad products. And that kind of my first goes is like, yeah, that's the executive class there. Like, they're writing these checks for $200-300 million, and they want to see that ROI. And I think we've seen, if nothing else, like I wouldn't define what's going on in gaming as a market crash. I would define it as a AAA crash. People aren't getting
a big wake-up call for sure.
It's a big wake-up call, and it's like, oh, and then you have things like the Oblivion remake. Then, and I cannot wait for Taylor to talk, to play through Clair Obscur, because it is really quite impressive. The like when you have those kind of things to then contrast that story, I'm hoping that most of these studios kind of wake up. We've got a couple on the horizon. Light No Fire, they've been, it started off with a team of 12. I'm sure it will scale to more, but not like hundreds of people are working on it, which anybody who's been in development knows, like the more people you add to the workflow, like you need people to manage it. It means more meetings and less actually work is happening. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a better product. So there's a big problem with that. But that's what I think is so exciting. Even heck, No Rest for the Wicked, a game that I continue to try and get more and more people to play. And whenever that does come to consoles, like it's going to be, I think, a really phenomenal game for a lot of people. Like they got a team of 90 people that like their studio is 90 people. It isn't 200, 300, 400. Well, Ubisoft levels 20,000, where Ubisoft can lay off 20,000 people and they still have a building. It's like, It wasn't like, hey, we closed and 20,000 people lost their job. Like we just had to let go of 20,000 people who weren't really doing anything much for us right now. Like, whoa, how big are you guys? How much money is going out the door every payday? Because that's going to be your biggest ongoing expense. What do you guys think, especially about what Dog had to say?
Ubisoft's the biggest culprit of what you just said. And I think we're seeing that market correction happen with them as a company. Like they're technically still Ubisoft, but they're really not. Like, right. It was either bankruptcy or this route that they went with Tencent. Hopefully they learn from it, right, too, right? Because if they don't take the right lesson away and they don't see that there's growth happening in gaming, but it's not with the model they use, then they deserve what happens to them. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, it's the nature of big business, right? There's a lot of value that comes out of big business. I mean, big business gives us gaming infrastructure so we can experience games like all of this. But at the same time, there's missteps that business leaders will make and designers and producers will make too, that, again, I'm not a giant, believer in the laissez-faire philosophy. I think free markets are the best approach to economies, though. And I think we are seeing that correction here. And hopefully, like you said, we see more people looking at Clair Obscur and other smaller games, right? It is the future. That's where the growth is going to happen. It's where the innovation is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, especially as there's much more uncertainty in global markets with a lot of the changes in approaches to trade policy too.
It's gonna be interesting to see. Now, go ahead, Chrono. I was gonna
say, like we've seen over the last couple of years, games like Balatro, one guy worked on it. It's hyper focused kind of situations are going to do way better. And then even stuff like Stardew Valley is dude continually cranks out like updates and stuff, but the game is still doing really well. And it's just one of those things where you know, if you're in a AAA spot and you're in that position, and you look at these things and ask yourself why they're successful and still keep doing the same things you're doing and wondering why your stuff isn't as successful, it's just poor reflection, you know? And I'm excited to see where, you know, if I think Microsoft would be the one to do it, but to really like pare down these big studios that they own and get these teams hyper focused on making good games instead of make the everything game and try to do like everything in one release.
Yeah. There can only be one everything game, and right now that seems like it's Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
But the market can't sustain
Followed by
many...
Minecraft, right? Like,
yeah, Roblox too. I don't know Roblox enough. I don't know if it's a game or like some form of human trafficking. Seems like what I hear, like
like it's like red flag. It's like no. Kids are like, can we play Roblox? I'm like, absolutely not.
Not
here's
in this
Minecraft.
House.
Not in this house. You gotta move out.
Yeah.
You're 18. You could play Roblox. I think this everything game
I don't feel
approach...
old enough to play Roblox. Like it's oh my gosh.
Oh, people ask me, hey, do you play? And I was like, no, I'm too old for that game, and you're too young for that game. So just delete it right now.
What are you gonna say, Mark?
I was just gonna say, going to the idea is like companies making missteps in this idea of the everything game too. I think that's what Sony's issue's been the last 4 or 5 years with why they haven't had many games released that have been successful, is because I don't think it was wrong, but they said, let's try to make an online game. Let's try to have a Sony first party online game. And we've seen multiple attempts of that. The most abysmal failure ever in gaming in Concord, right? We now have this marathon game coming out. Will it pay off or not? Who knows? But again, thanks to Microsoft, they do have some really awesome games to play on their platform too. And the games I love from Sony, like just great story-driven character action first-person games, they've kind of been lacking, I feel like. You've gotten a lot of remasters of The Last of Us and Days Gone, but I want something new. I want a new Ratchet and Clank, right? Something of that nature.
Yeah, bring back what was the one with the Hellgast? What was the name of that?
Oh, Killzone.
Killzone. Yeah, bring that
Perfect
back.
Time. Perfect
Killzone
time.
would be Killzone would fill a gap on PlayStation that they very much need, you know, something there.
And then, Gears is filling that gap. They're good.
Yeah, it will. It will. Microsoft is like, hey, we could do that. And then I even think Resistance, you know, Insomniac had a good idea with Resistance, and then they did their trilogy, and at the time every game that came out had a trilogy, and now I think it's run its course and people probably wouldn't recognize the IP, so they could really do something new with it if they wanted to.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I'm one of these rare people that like I love Ubisoft and I want them to succeed, and like the fact that like I loved Valhalla. I know some people didn't, but I love the big
Valhalla sold like what 20 million units. Like it was like absurd.
It was awesome. I loved it. I loved the like how big it was. And those checklisty games. Like I just sunk my teeth into that for like 6 to 8 months or whatever. But I think what with all these games getting more expensive and these bigger teams, it's like my big question for these big places like Ubisoft that I like really enjoy their games is how did y'all do this with like so many less people, right? But way back in the day. And like what you were saying, Brian, earlier about Oblivion, it's like they made those games 20 years ago, 15 years ago with way less people and less money. And it's like, so I understand the money piece of it, right? But I'm like, why do you need so many more people than you used to? And like, maybe it's the tech or whatever, maybe there's an answer, but it's just like, I feel like they could make good games. You do one of two things: pare down the team and make games for longer. But the problem that happens there is like these trilogies lose steam, right? Or these franchises lose steam. So I think just making or keep these big teams, but pump out a game every year to 2 years, because I think that's what's been happening a lot. All these games like that I loved and would play every year, every other year, like Assassin's Creed. Now they've gotten so big and they cost so much that it's taken them 3 to 5 years between every game, and I'm just like, I've moved on. Like I've moved on because I don't have this like, emotional connection as much as I did. And I'm trying these new experiences from these smaller ones. It's just like, I want, like, I like the challenge of these smaller guys coming through, but it's like, I want the big dogs to be big again. Cause like those IPs and those stories that I'm connected to, I want them to succeed. And like, I'm not smart enough to know what the answer is, but I like y'all were saying, I just hope they figure it out.
Is the answer something like what Nintendo is doing and then what we're seeing across the industry with rising prices? Like this is the first console generation that I'm even aware of can think of that the prices didn't go down across the generation. They actually went up. And yes, tariffs have played a percentage of that, but they haven't been. I mean, that's just new as of now. Like even Sony was raising their console prices all across the world, and they were keeping it, where it's locked in here. And I'm wondering now with Microsoft introducing that, with Nintendo, coming in at $500 with the Mario Kart bundle, like, what do we expect to see from the next generation in terms of its pricing? Right? I don't know if Sony raises their price. I think it's the ultimate power move for them to not raise their price, because that
at this point.
Right, because the best advertisement that I've seen for the PS5 Pro is it's cheaper than the Xbox Series X. Like they're like, oh, like you get the 2 terabyte, like it's actually the cheaper option. And so it just for some reason takes a little bit of the sting, because when they announced the price of the PS5 Pro, I was like, oh gosh, that's I can't, like, I don't know how to justify that. Like I cannot, justify the value proposition. Go ahead.
I think this could be a controversial opinion, but Brian, you and I have had conversations about what the cost of games were back in the day, and especially when you adjust for inflation. So keeping that in mind, I'm of the controversial opinion that games were always due for an adjustment when it comes to the price point that they sell at.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a hard thing to admit, right? Sony, I don't know if Sony, if I'm Sony or Xbox, I don't want to release a next gen console anytime soon, because I think that's an $800 console right now. Right. And so I think if anything, Sony's increased prices 2 years ago, right? Xbox has finally increased prices. I think if anything, in the short term, you might see a longer console life cycle than originally planned with Sony and Xbox, at least until 2028, maybe, or beyond. I think that's their solution.
The rumor is 2026 for the next Xbox, though, and that's when it's all said and done. Like, what does the next Xbox need to do? And I'm like, for me, the thing that would be the value proposition for another Xbox would literally be that it does what my Steam Deck and my Logitech G Cloud do. Like, don't restrict me. Let me play the games that I own on whatever, however I want, whether it's cloud streaming or native install through Steam, etc. Don't limit me, because I want to have that experience. And just like what Taylor said about his interest in an Xbox branded handheld, like I'm actually interested in that thing. Not necessarily am I writing off their partnership, because I think that's one of the things that we're going to see is that, imagine if they license out the kind of the operating system, et cetera. So you have that flow to how you get to your games and your friends lists and all of that. But then it's like, you can do it through Steam, you can do it through Epic, you can, you have these games, they're your games. We're like, just brand it. The next Xbox is just your PC, like it's just a computer at the end of the day. What do y'all think?
It's got to be. And we've talked about this before. One of the last times I was on the show, we had a big discussion around the next Xbox running Steam. And what does that mean? And with the Asus partnership, we should have that Xbox handheld by the end of the year, supposedly.
Yeah. It leaked. It leaked the other day.
Yeah, it leaked, and it looks like an Asus ROG Ally with Xbox stuff on it. It's exactly what I expected it to look like. Yep. Like it's not a surprise. Though I would like some surprises in gaming these days. I'm personally tired of everything leaking, but a handheld would go a long way. Now I wonder if there's any intention for them to allow me to access like my console library, because right now, if it's released multi-platform, I'm just playing the PC version on these handhelds. But could I play like my 360 library that is available on any Xbox hardware, but not on PC for whatever reason? That's what I
do the PlayStation thing where they just kind of stream it, where it's not even emulation.
That would be
just stream it from the cloud.
But I really would like it to run like in an emulator locally and not have to have cloud access. I'd be okay. That would be a stopgap. But Taylor was talking about earlier, I want to play my games, locally. Same. Like, I don't mind streaming if that's the only option, but I don't see why they don't just lock down, a 360 emulator to run on PC at this point. There's no harm that could come from it.
My understanding too is that wouldn't be too hard, since that's essentially what you have to a degree currently on the Series X, and the Series X architecture would carry over somewhat easy. You're gonna have to adjust it, but if you're running on essentially a PC, there's a way to do that.
Oh yeah,
and I to me, what you're saying, Brian, makes sense as a value prop, but to me, That's the value prop. You can play anything you want, but I don't think a part of that value prop is, and it's now the most powerful console ever, because I don't think that's needed that much anymore, right? If you look at opening yourself up to a Steam library, the most popular graphics card on the Steam user survey is still like a 2050 or a 1080, right? There's not a lot of people, again, given the increase of cost, pushing things. So if Xbox does release a console, it's probably going to be marginally better than the Series X, but I don't expect it to be even more powerful than the PS5 Pro or anything like that, or some type of next generation leap in graphics, because I just don't think that exists at the moment.
As long as it's stronger than the Switch 2, I'll be okay.
It's gonna be. That's not hard. That's not hard.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna come here and give the spicy take, but Chrono took it from me. Very, very good. It's just nice to hear somebody else. No, don't apologize. It's just nice to hear somebody agree with me, honestly, because it's just like literally yesterday I went to the tax office because just because of rising costs, my mortgage went up $120 because of taxes and assessment stuff, and I'm just like I can do nothing about that. It just went up because life is more expensive. Like we're all relatively the same age. Like, do y'all remember when McDonald's had a $1 menu and you could get like 30 things on it for $30? How much does that cost now?
For less than I can go to McDonald's. Like,
yes!
I'll take the family to Chili's for at or less than what the
who
McDonald's
does McDonald's
cost.
think they are?
Right.
Who
I think
are you,
this,
McDonald's?
It's this weird thing where it's like I feel like in gaming there are these two things that are true. Companies are greedy, but that's also their job, right? So we have to keep companies are greedy in the same thing as just stuff just costs more now. And yep. I think because gaming is such a thing that we have connected to our childhood, that we're like, it should cost the same amount that it cost when we were children. Literally nothing else in my life is like that. You used to be able to get a cup of coffee for 25 cents. It costs $7 now. Like we just gotta relax, man. Like everything in my life costs more than it used to, especially in the last 5 years since that certain thing happened in 2020. Everything's just more expensive now. So like games going up $10 and people going insane about it is just wild to me. Do I need to remind you my mortgage went up $120 yesterday? That's 2 games, or I guess 1.85 now.
Yeah, it used to be 2 games. That's the point, Taylor. That's the point. It used to be 2 games. Somebody's put it in this way in terms of context, and again, like the emotional feeling behind the prices going up sucks, right? Like the brain, you can like, I get it, right? But somebody was like, yeah, when I was a kid gaming, like a console cost around $200, but my rent was $400. Now my rent's $2,000. And what I end up thinking is like, I think it's an income issue, is that people's incomes have not risen to the same thing. So that $120 isn't like, oh, but yeah, I'm making, $2,000 more dollars a year. Okay, $120, I can swallow that. If you're not making, those increases, that $120 can feel like absolutely like suffocating, right? And so I think that's what a lot of, especially when you're looking at, more of the younger generation, like at this game, at this is like, oh, you're not established, you don't have a career, you don't have savings, and gaming is this escape where you're like, okay, work sucks, like I'm in debt, like nothing's going my way, I can't own a house. At least I got games, and then games.
If you're
is like,
in debt, the difference between $70 and $80 isn't the issue, my guy.
Yeah.
Well, and then to the point of everything getting more expensive. Normally, or what traditionally we have seen is, a console is out for 4 or 5 years. They redesign it, optimize, the chipset a little bit, shrink it down to reduce costs, so you see some kind of cost saving. We have not seen that. The PS5 Slim didn't, it may have saved Sony some money, but it was the same price as the PS5 launch model, right? Mm-hmm. And now we've seen price increases due to external factors. It is what it is, but we haven't seen that like optimization come in and reduce costs in any direction. Yeah. And so it's kind of weird, right? Like, because even the Switch, like it was so successful, they didn't have to adjust the price, I guess. Well, but it's a weird time where you just kind of take a look and remember things did get cheaper. We used to have platinum hits and Nintendo Selects and all that, and we don't even see that program anymore, where the 10 million sellers are sold at $20 all of a sudden.
I mean, I do. I see them all the time on like, you just have to wait to the holidays. Like,
Yeah.
I've just been
Well,
around
Steam
this place
sales,
long
yeah.
enough to know, like even on the Xbox, like they offered me the entire Mafia collection, which is like $70.
Yeah.
They offered it to me for $4.50 yesterday.
a good
$4.50. It's like you just have to wait until either things come to Game Pass. That's going to be the answer to literally every question that is being asked of us today. But like just wait till there will be a summer sale. If you miss that, there will be a Labor Day sale. If you miss that, there will be a Thanksgiving sale, the Christmas sale.
That's how I bought most of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Exactly.
The whole point though is that people are just going to buy less, and they're going to, they're going to either go back to their backlog, which is going to cause, the gaming industry to have to figure out and adjust, right? Because we've seen this. The thing I think is I find kind of annoying is that everything has to be games as a service. It's like, okay, so they're trying to like slap that concept onto everything and then it's like, no, people are still like playing, as Mark alluded to earlier, Fortnite and Minecraft. Like the majority of game time are in these established kind of games as a service, and there can only that market can only sustain so many people, right? Like, and so what we might hopefully see, and I hope that Claire Exterior is a good example of that, what we've seen with the remakes that are kind of being brought into a whole new generation, because it's been like 20 years since Oblivion originally came out. Like you have a whole new generation of gamers who maybe have only seen Skyrim or only played Skyrim and might now understand some of the things that, like, yeah, Skyrim sold like crazy amounts, but there were people who were like, Oblivion was better. And it's like, now they can have that opportunity to experience it. It's truly interesting. Now, this was brought up earlier. And Taylor, I'd like to kind of get your take on it from what Kendrick's saying, is that sometimes smaller games can actually be better, as I feel like I might actually finish them. I have some games that I put off starting just because of the length. And I've made that comment too. Like when I was a kid, like I want that 60-hour, RPG that I'm going to just spend all summer playing and exploring. But now as an adult, I'm like, someone's like, oh, the game, maybe 15, 20 hours. I'm like, that actually sounds way more appealing. Like, oh man, I can actually get to the end of this game. This is like, you've piqued my interest. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because like one of my big things is I love checklists and being able to check things off. That's in my work life, my gaming life, my personal life, everything, right? So it's ironic that the thing in my brain works for things like Assassin's Creed Valhalla that took me 160 hours because I'm checking things off as I go, right? My favorite short game that I actually played this year, even though it came out last year, was the Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, I think was the title.
That was a fantastic game. Fantastic.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was a smaller game. It was challenging. It was fun. It was another one that the kids liked watching me play until I died 30 times in a row. Then they went and played Minecraft, ironically enough. But it was fun. It was short. And like, so I keep a list of all the games that I beat in every certain year. I've been keeping track of it since like 2019. And 2019, 2020, 2021, the list was super long. In the last few years, it like halved and then halved and then halved. One, because I'm playing games less, but also because I am playing these larger games. So it felt great to play through Prince of Persia and then just add it to my games that I beat. And I really enjoyed it. And like of the game, even though it didn't come out this year, it's my second favorite game that I've beat this year. Avowed was number 1 and Prince of Persia was number 2. So 2 shorter games that are, for everybody else, probably 20 hours, for me, 30 or 40, right? But I really like those short games. There was that one that fits both this description and the Shadow Drop. You remember Hi-Fi Rush from a few years ago?
Yeah.
It was so short, so much fun. It felt that Shadow Drop. And then what was the one with the knifey guy where you held a knife and it talked to you?
Oh, what was that?
High on Life?
High on Life.
Yeah.
That was another short one that was just so much fun. Like it introduced a new mechanic 6 times and then the game was over. Like it was just so much fun and enjoyable and silly. So I do like those from time to time. And how I tend to play games is I play a big one like the Clair Obscur is probably gonna be my next big one. But I played Avowed, which was shorter, Prince of Persia was shorter, and then I'll play another shorter one after that, kind of like a palate cleanser.
Fascinating. Now, another thing that Taylor brought up earlier in the show was his loyalty to franchises, and you mentioned Marvel. So I think as we wind down the show, I'd like to kind of just do a little bit of a roundtable how everybody's feeling about the current state of Marvel, but also superhero movies in general. Like, has anybody here seen Thunderbolts or not seen Thunderbolts? Daredevil Born Again. There's been some really interesting additions. And then for me personally, I'm a huge Superman fan. So I'm very excited to see what James Gunn introduces. And just before the show, I got to see the season 2 trailer for Peacemaker, which was a series I wrote off because the DCEU is just absolute garbage. And that was a part of it. But the way that James Gunn has structured it, his Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and, Creature Commandos, they're all a part of his DCU universe. So then I went and watched the Peacemaker, and I thought that was phenomenal. It was absolutely incredible. So it was such a fun. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about like Marvel and kind of superhero movies and superhero fatigue. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I feel like the Jewish part of my background is bringing a more and more pronounced Larry David personality to a lot of things, because my overall feel sometimes towards like people like, oh, the new Star Wars and Marvel. I'm like, eh. But with that being said, we did watch Daredevil Born Again, my favorite Marvel franchise. I think the original Daredevil series on Netflix is one of the best things to come out of Marvel, alongside, Endgame and all that as well. Loved Born Again. The character building, everything about it, the writing as a Catholic, it got me hyped at one point. He heard like mass being said. Then he's like, all right, I got to be this God-fearing Justice Avenger and just go kick some butt. Like it was phenomenal. I want to see Thunderbolts.
I too go to mass and want to fight people.
I want to ask a weird question, Taylor. And I tell my wife this is a thing guys think, but like Taylor, Brian, Chrono, when you guys are at church, do you guys ever like scenario plan, like if someone came in?
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
I take, that's the only reason I take my cell phone into mass, because it's like, as a former pitcher, I have like insane accuracy. So I was like, I need to make sure that if nothing else, I have something to hurl in that direction as just a defense.
You really did watch Daredevil Born Again. That was what the villain did.
The Bullseye character is inspired by me.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned something by being on our pastoral council at our church. We don't just have cell phones in our pockets because we live in Texas. We're good. We're all good. The scenario's fine. Everybody in our church is safe.
Yeah. My grandfather went to the synagogue that had that horrible shooting out in Pittsburgh. And then ever since then, he brings a gun to a temple, and his rabbi was like, yeah, you gotta stop doing that. Now, my grandfather's an odd character. He goes to temple and church. So temple on Saturdays, church on
He's
Sundays.
covered his bases.
Yeah, he really is. And I get the sense that his church is more okay with him bringing a gun. But Pennsylvania, I think we had the largest representation of people during January 6th. So you shouldn't be surprised that we're a lot of, patriotic gun carriers.
Saying Shabbat Shalom with a gun in your back pocket is hilarious. Like just genuinely hilarious.
It's my grandfather.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited for Marvel. Because I'm dedicated and loyal, I have watched everything that's come out except for the last 2 movies because again, track season. I will come through.
I'm going to put some context here because sure. I didn't see Captain America in the movie theaters, but I did see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was great. My issues with Captain America are like it doesn't even. It seems like same thing with like WandaVision and then into like Multiverse of Madness. It's like you have this character growth and depth, and it's like they just kind of have to yeet that out into the void, and then it feels like the big thing that Captain America was like building up to was obviously the Red Hulk, which was a part of the marketing.
Yeah, I didn't like.
So there was we're gonna get to we know we're gonna get to Red Hulk. Like all of this stuff just felt pointless. Thunderbolts though feels like an absolute must see in the theaters. A return to a high quality, and not that it's the best movie that you'll ever see, but it's a character focus. Like the last great Marvel movie was Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in my book.
Fantastic.
This is something that like maybe not as incredible as Guardians 3. It is great. Like it is an absolute fun watch. I will go see it again. I might even take some of the older kids to see this one. Anyway, you were saying something, Taylor?
Yeah, it's coming from Marvel it's literally the strongest franchise ever made in the movies. It's not even debatable, right? But they were in such a place of strength that they could market from a place of strength. And now the last 4 years have happened, and they've had to market from a place of weakness. So they're having to say, guys, you have to come to the theater. Red Hulk is there. Where they used to just, they would have an entire movie and it was incredible all on its own. And then the last little surprise was Thanos coming in and saying, fine, I'll do it myself. And we all freaking shook the theater. Like they didn't have to market, hey, Thanos is going to be at the end. You got to stay till the end, because they were like, you're going to come and you're going to love it and you have to be here. And I think it's kind of like very similar to this whole Ubisoft thing that we were talking about earlier. They got so big and so many cooks in the kitchen that Feige couldn't be all these different places at once and all these different storytelling. And they're finally getting smart and they're moving us towards a point where everything's going to reset and then they're going to be able to start again. Because it just got too big, right? Which, like Ubisoft having to pare down by 20,000 people or whatever the number is. It's like it got too big too quickly because we were high off of all the money that we were making. And now they're having to pare down again. And these smaller stories like Daredevil, these smaller stories like Thunderbolts, these smaller stories, they're actually doing very well. So I'm not a huge fan of the last 4 years like I was before, but I am very excited and hopeful that it's going to kind of get back to the cachet that it had a few years ago.
That's what I'm looking forward to. It's just kind of the hype behind it and the reaction to Thunderbolts. I haven't seen it yet. Plan on going to see it, but the initial reaction is just like, okay, this seems like something that, you know, if people are enjoying it this much, it's got to be worth seeing. So I'm looking forward to go and watch it.
How do you feel about the marketing? Right, because like, so you haven't seen it, Mark. You haven't seen it yet, right? Taylor, you haven't. You already said you haven't seen it, so I'm the only one here. They obviously changed the marketing, and the movie's out. Like, fun.
The trailers sell me on the movie.
Like, the name changed too. Like,
yeah, I thought that was cool.
You thought it was cool? Like, I was just kind of curious. I'd love to get y'all's thoughts because, like, I was like, I wonder how people who haven't seen the movie yet feel, because that's kind of a part of it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm more interested now, right? It wasn't that I wasn't interested. I was indifferent because of everything Taylor just said, which is like, I am in a very similar place when it comes to the movies. It's just hard to keep up with. I don't have the time. And also there have been some stinkers in there. But I heard good things about Thunderbolts. I've saw, to your point, Brian, people had a list of like best MCU movies since Endgame. And it was Guardians of the Galaxy #3 at 1. #2 was Thunderbolts, and #3 was Shang-Chi. And I was like, oh, you know what? If you're putting it there, I got to see this at some point. My issue is the theater's an hour away from me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
that sounds like the time I spent in Oklahoma, where we would to go see a movie, we would drive down to Dallas.
Yeah. Oh my God. I got to go to a different state. That's insane.
Got to get out of Oklahoma any excuse possible.
But because of that, we invested in like basically a home theater in our basement. And so we watch movies, we buy the 4K Blu-rays and all that. And I am very eager now to get Thunderbolts on Blu-ray to watch it here because of that name change. It now has me interested to see what they're planning on doing, especially if they're the new Avengers, right? This is somehow leading up to Doomsday, I imagine. And I want to be, involved as much as I can in that story arc, so I don't have to be asking questions at the theater, right? Essentially.
Yeah. Or scrambling to watch all the stuff right before Doomsday comes out.
Yeah, that would not happen.
But I thought the whole thing with Thunderbolts, the asterisk like was on the title, and they were like, people were asking questions, and then like the official like PR response was, well, you just have to wait and see. It is significant, and so it's like to see it be like, oh, the new Avengers is like, okay, cool. I want to see how we get there. How do we go from Thunderbolts to new Avengers? So it sold me on the journey more than anything else.
Yeah, I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts, and we can talk offline about it, because it's such there's such a high quality to it, where it's like it felt like, just like I said, it ties right back to the Oblivion conversation. Stepping back into Oblivion just briefly, like you just all of a sudden you're like, what has been going? Like it kind of is like there's a real sharp contrast that you feel pretty much immediately, and I felt like that within Thunderbolts. It's like, wow, they've really listened, or like they're just kind of getting back to like, okay, we're gonna stop writing the movie while we film the movie. And so like there's just been so much of that, which I think is when you talk about like Mark brought up free markets, it's like, well, their chaos has cost them tons of money and it's burned people out, so they've lost fans, so they've lost that money. Refocusing,
the reshoots for Captain America like hurt that movie a lot.
All the movies that when they start talking about massive reshoots have me worried. That's why I'm really excited about Superman, because it's like I think they did like 1 minute worth of reshoots. Like they here's the movie, and it's like some of the feedback came in, and it's like, oh yeah, let's extend that a scene a little bit, or let's like add just a little bit to it. And it isn't like the whole, like Marvels, right? The movie The Marvels came out, like that movie was chopped up, just like what's going on? Like they're like,
well, I think really
these characters and these actresses. Like I actually like Miss Marvel, like the show. I was like, oh, she's great. She's energetic. She's exciting. I like her on screen. And then Marvels comes out and it's like, they come like, what story are we trying to tell here? I don't even know what's happening. Anyway, go ahead,
I think a lot of that comes from it happens in gaming too. Things are announced way too early.
Yeah.
And so they announce things when the hype is up, which makes sense to some degree, but then they have to keep you interested. So they have to feed you these little bits of information that over time you're like, well, when is this coming out? Or is this still a thing? And then you start to question, well, is everything okay? Because we've known about this for years now.
No, I feel like movies too. I might have it backwards, but I feel like movies or games weren't like that at one point in time. Where I don't know if it was movies where like you might know something was in production, but you didn't hear or see anything until the trailer dropped, and then it was going to be out within a year. And I feel like games, for the most part, we have gotten to that point where like, oh, we're working on a new I don't know, take any game that Sony featured at a showcase in the last 4 years that hasn't come out yet. And you're just like, where is that game? It's I think we all appreciate what they did with Oblivion, which is just like shadow drop, it's out. Like that, I think is a brilliant marketing strategy because you will consume the 24-hour news cycle. And let's be honest, that's about all of the attention span most people have nowadays anyways, before they start talking about something else. So my question. Oh, good.
I must be just slightly older than you, Mark, because I didn't even see trailers growing up. I found out what movies were out when I got dropped off in junior high on Friday nights at the theater. I was like, oh, never heard of that. Let's go see that one.
To be fair, I mean, we can age drop each other. I'm 35, so I probably have a similar experience.
When's your birthday though, Mark?
I mean, I don't want to give out too much. You want my social too?
I just want the month, unless it's the same month.
July. Are y'all the same age?
July is your birthday, so you turned 36 in July.
Yes.
You're older than me, Mark.
Wow. What happened?
I'm also older.
July, August, September, October. Am I the baby here? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
The bald gray. Like I still got the red. I still have like insane vision, which is incredible.
I know. I went to your 40th birthday party multiple years ago,
and that was 3 years ago. And that's going to soon be 4 years ago this summer.
So where are we going for your 45th?
I was thinking 50 would be the big one to celebrate next, but I don't know, man. 45, like you got to celebrate when you can. Mark, you're a July. Are you a Leo, Mark?
I'm a Cancer. I'm a Cancer.
You sure are. You sure
feel like it, yeah, for sure.
You're not the only one to tell me that today. So
I was about to say, like, I'm a Leo, so I'm already a big fan of the Pope. Like, it's like, let's go.
I was a big fan of Leo the 13th. I can't wait for this one. I'll leave it at that. I was just wanted to get one clarity question though about Thunderbolts. Besides the Winter Soldier, who I know and love, and side note, I think Captain America: Winter Soldier, also one of the best Marvel movies ever. Such a good movie. Should I watch something else to see these other characters, or are they all new to this first time appearance on screen?
So here's some homework that I would give you if you want it. It's not necessary, but I think it does add to the overall experience as somebody who's like, I don't think I've missed anything that Marvel's released. Like I'm like Taylor, I'm a fan. So the Black Widow movie I thought was actually really good. It introduces Elena, in a really good way, and it kind of just set like it makes, when you step into this, very interesting. Also the Hawkeye series. So in terms of Elena, you have Hawkeye. That also helps with Red Guardian. If you've already watched previous Marvel movies, like Bucky needs no introduction, right? Like, the Winter Soldier. It's really cool to see him here. But you might get a little something out. And I've seen some analysis, which is interesting because you see these characters, they're all broken human beings, right? Like we are, they all have their issues. Or like you take broken human beings, you turn them into assassins. Yeah, it's interesting. But with Bucky, like he goes through a little bit of a journey in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you can see like a level of maturity. You can see out of all of their brokenness, he's actually like oh, this guy's stable. Like, all right, this is really good. So that's where that's where I'd say you
this
probably
guy's
kind of
stable. How many confirmed kills does he have, Brian?
well, yeah, well, he killed JFK. Like so it's like, and now he's a congressman. So it's all full circle.
Hey, that's the truest thing that we've heard all day.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier will also introduce you to what I also feel is another really great character, which is John Walker, who is U.S. agent, the interim Captain America who was there for a little bit, and seeing his journey through that. It's interesting because one of the things is like in the writing, and this isn't in the movie at all, but one of the original proposed, scripts or whatever actually had him become the bad guy, and they turned him into a Hulk, right? So they're like really kind of doubling down, but then now a lot of people are really kind of rallying behind him as a character because there is a little bit of a redemption there. You also see some of the things that are kind of going on, and there's, he plays it really, really well. And I hope that we get to see more John Walker in the future of the MCU.
I think I've seen people argue about this redemption arc with a scene from Falcon and the Winter Soldier where he kills a man. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people debating it. And I was just like, one, I haven't watched it. Two, how much time do you people have to be online arguing about this? Like it gets crazy. But all right, I got one movie, 2 TV series to watch. I'll just let my wife know to watch the kid or, take care of that. And I'll be downstairs trucking it out. No, I appreciate that because I wanted to see the Thunderbolts. I just didn't want to be completely clueless. So,
yeah, that's going to give you a lot. Like they do a really good job, and they don't waste a lot. They don't waste time. Like because that like when I said like my frustration with like Multiverse of Madness, my frustration with some of that is like, okay, I went on this journey, and it's like, okay, we got to do that all over again. And it's like, why did you make that in the first place? Like now it's like throw one out. I don't care which one, just pick one and kind of go with it.
I care which one. The one that was good. Keep that.
Yeah,
the one that sucked, keep that away.
WandaVision was fantastic, and then Multiverse of Madness just let me down in so many ways. So, and then the ending too.
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked multiple times about just the weakness of multiverse. Multiverse is a great story element to ask what if questions and then see how that would play out differently, etc. But when it's like, oh, this is the actual story, like nothing matters. Like you murdered, I can't even remember his name, Professor X. I was like, why Charles Xavier? There we go. It's like you murdered Charles Xavier. You just murdered everybody, and it's like, and none of it matters.
Taylor, I saw you walk.
No. I'm in a chair. I'm literally in a chair.
No, I saw you
get him walk in X-Men too.
Yeah, he gave up his powers
so
for that.
Like, he can walk.
It's just wild.
I was thirsty. I had to go get a drink.
All right, guys, let's wrap up the show. Where can people find you, Taylor?
Not Oklahoma or Detroit. I am on YouTube and podcast, Forte Catholic, FORTE Catholic. If you like some faith things and some comedy, and you want to learn something new about the Pope, I should have a video going up here pretty soon.
All right, sweet action. Mark.
To clarify Taylor's comment, I am not from Detroit, thankfully. I'm from Pittsburgh. So, we actually have teams that won Super Bowls. But sorry. You can find me at Late to the Game on YouTube and Twitch. Honestly, haven't had time to put stuff up, but I'm hoping to get a lot of coverage of Switch 2 once that does drop. And I will be on Pete Tony's Game of Favorites show in a week, my first time back after my ban from 2 years ago. So that's gonna be interesting.
All right, excellent. And Chrono.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube, Chrono32123. Should pull me right up.
Is there a way you can rebrand? Because
I want to so bad.
I love palindromes. Big fan. Don't ever change.
Don't ever change. Some goober on Twitch is camping on Chrono without the numbers, and I just need to get enough following to have clout to go, hey Twitch.
Oh, I can do that. Like, because there's a couple of things that I'd like to kind of like, because I on Twitch I'm Ginger Prime TV, because someone's got Ginger Prime, but they don't stream, they don't do nothing with it.
I know this guy didn't even have a profile picture. Like, come on. Yeah,
so maybe I've got enough clout on that. We'll see. We'll find out.
I have thought about rebranding though. It's in the plan. I just don't know what it would be to.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you can find me there, daily streams, and it's a lot of Fortnite lately because Star Wars.
Cool. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for me today to talk about games and Marvel. Like, honestly, I've been thinking when we talk about rebrand, like rebranding the podcast name, because like what started off as a Final Fantasy focused podcast, now becoming more just like general gaming, and you know, like I'd love to talk more about the movies, and I don't know how the movie channel commentaries like do it, because they show off footage. I'm like, how are they not getting claimed each and every way, you know, from Sunday? But I'd love that. Now, I'm going to wrap up our show with a great thing that I like. Scrag says, he says, America won the Pope Bowl, which is really interesting. And I tweeted this out. I saw this pop up into one of my, somebody texted this to me, and it's that, yeah, tariffs are working so well that even the Pope is made in America. So I think that's it's a really funny and a really good way to wrap up today's show. Thanks everybody who tuned in for the live stream. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button and maybe leave us a review or a comment. But outside that, guys, we will be back next week talking the latest gaming news and more. But until then, take care.